fintech and digital payments giant Square changing its name to Block in a move that reflects changes to its business focus days after CEO Jack Dorsey said he was leaving Twitter. Dorsey's company is building a hardware wallet and considering creating a Bitcoin mining service. The company saying Block has many associated meanings, including building blocks, neighborhood blocks, and the blockchain. Square's crypto project, Square Crypto, will also change its name to Spiral. And joining us now to discuss is CoinDesk Chief Insights columnist David Morris. Hello there, David. So,
Hi, Christine.
If it weren't for Twitter or Square, Jack Dorsey said earlier this year at Bitcoin Miami during a conference that he'd be in Bitcoin. So is this the compromise?
Well, if you look at it from a certain perspective, if you assume that he had a certain intent all along, I don't think this is a compromise. I think this is the real galaxy brain move. He's just taking his traditional payments company and turning it into a crypto company, as far as I can tell. As you noted, they kind of soft pedaled the name and tried to say it's about like music on the block or the neighborhood block or whatever. But I think those of us who have been paying attention to what Dorsey has been up to over the last few years, it reads very much like this is now going to be a very crypto-focused company. And I think we'll find out more over the next few days. But as I discussed in my column this morning, they do, I think, seem to be soft pedaling that a little bit because they have so much really strong traditional revenue. And they don't want to scare off investors by making it seem like they're making some radical pivot. But I think the substance here is pretty clear.
Yeah, that article, part of the Future of Money series on CoinDesk.com. I wonder, David, and you touch a little bit about this in your article, what's the difference between perception of Facebook changing their name to Meta versus Square changing their name to Block?
Well, I can't speak for perception in general, but I can speak from my perception and what we've seen on the ground. I mean, it's interesting. You had a segment about Meta changing its ad policies. Facebook notoriously was pretty hostile to crypto advertising at certain points in its history. Through Libra, Mark Zuckerberg has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars essentially attacking Bitcoin. And now his Meta concept seems flimsy. He's using a blockchain concept to, I think, sell VR, which is what they really mean when they're talking about the metaverse, which is not what we mean. And so all of those contrast really strongly with Jack Dorsey, who has really offered material support to Lightning developers and Bitcoin developers through Square Crypto, which, by the way, Square Crypto is now going to be called Spiral, which I find kind of cool. And he's been really involved. He talks about it. He's brought Lightning Network tipping to Twitter. He's done all of these real things, whereas Facebook has done nothing or less than nothing. And so for them to then come along and try and co-opt a concept from the crypto sphere, it feels like what it is, which is fake and just all about perception and basically something with no actual substance behind it. But again, not speaking for anybody but myself there, but that's my takeaway.
Opinions heard loud and clear. David, you mentioned Square Crypto is rebranding to Spiral. Why Spiral? What's the significance of that?
I really don't know, actually. I couldn't say necessarily, except perhaps if you really want to read into it, Square Crypto has been where Square has housed its Bitcoin developers. So you can think of the Spiral as something that feeds back on itself. So by funding Bitcoin development and supporting the network as a whole that everybody can use, Square Crypto, now Spiral, is actually contributing to the advancement of the company as well as everybody else. So it's a feedback.
I was curious about it. I thought maybe, the Web 2 incumbents are spiraling into Web 3 or something or other like that. In exiting Twitter, Jack Dorsey had trouble with active investor Elliott Management. They wanted him to leave in the first place. So is this a matter of him perhaps not wanting to deal with that politics, social media, and the whole censorship politics?
That's a tricky question. I think it's pretty clear that Jack does not have super complicated views himself on freedom of speech. In some ways, I wish he had more complicated views, but clearly the landscape is really difficult. I think it's probably more to the point that investors for a long time have thought that Jack dividing himself between Square and Twitter was not working, and that they deserved more of his attention. And I think that it's also fair to say that Twitter has been through some tough times and has kind of come back to a place of strength itself. So it probably feels like a good moment for him to make that handoff. And he has also, as far as I know at this point, his CTO, who is now going to become CEO, it seems fairly committed to carrying forward some of the crypto initiatives that he has put in place in Twitter. So that probably makes him feel a little bit more comfortable about making the change too.
Parag Agrawal, right? Final question, David: is Square or Block, is it a Bitcoin company now?
Well, I think that we'll find out. I think, as I said up front, the intent is clear. There's going to be a process, I think, where if I was Jack Dorsey right now, what I would do is look for places where crypto can actually make the experience of my existing customers better, and then work it in bit by bit, find the advantages. You already have a huge customer base, huge network, huge income to work with, a big cushion. And then if you can turn that into the next evolution, that's again, the galaxy brain play here. You take something that's already working, then you leverage the advantages of a new technology that can do certain things better.